Well, good morning, everyone. We are on the we're on the air. No, we're not actually. Let's see. Yeah, we are in the air, but we're using the built-in microphone here on Facebook Live and YouTube Live, and it's so we're coming in nice and clear on CKLU, but we're not so clear on the streaming. So we're just using the basic microphone here on our streaming platforms on YouTube and Facebook. But on CKLU, they can hear you nice and loud and clear, Dave.
Very good.
But on YouTube Live and Facebook Live, they can only hear you through that mic there. Okay. So it's as if, you see these YouTubers and podcasters, using their phone and just talking in their phone. They're not getting the mix here for some strange reason. But as we get to know our new kind of setup here, that's going to happen less and less and less. But anyways, we're live on CKLU 96.7 FM. We're live on the internet as well on several ways. Audio, if you download the Firefox browser, you can listen to CKLU that way. If you download the Radio Player Canada app, you can listen to us there. If you have Facebook, which, not everyone does, but you can see us live on Facebook, facebook.com/Sudbury News, and youtube.com/Sudbury News. Both of those. Now, in the future, we might even be able to come through on, there's an option for us to come through on Twitch. I don't know how many people use Twitch. I know a lot of gamers do, but other than that, I don't think, have you even heard of Twitch, Dave?
Barely, yeah.
Twitch. I think it's something like YouTube, but mostly for gamers. And I guess other people do their podcasts through there, but we're not. We are using. We're just on Facebook and YouTube. Anyways, so let's get on with the show today. Even though it's not ideal, we're still waiting for our comments to load up in front of me because our computer is exhaustively, painfully slow, but I can see your comments as they come up here, anyways, on the feed. So let's get into a little bit of our weather today, and we'll be back right after this with some weather. And here we go. We got some weather for you. We got the screens all up and running. Again, it's a little bit odd because it's not working exactly the way it's supposed to today with our microphones just coming through the iPad for live and through our system for the radio. Just makes it a little bit more techy, hard in that way to navigate tech. Anyways, 15 degrees currently, as you can see. It should be raining where you are. It's raining where we are quite heavily. It says light rain, but it's light and then it's heavy. Kind of goes ebbs and flows. Today, mainly cloudy. A few showers beginning early this morning, ending this afternoon. Then a 40% chance of showers later this afternoon. Risk of a thunderstorm. Local amount would be about 10 to 20 millimeters worth. And then the wind will be south 30 kilometers an hour, gusting to 50, high of 23. With the humidex, it'll be about 30, so hot day after the rain. Quite humid. So tonight, cloudy, 40% chance of showers, risk of thunderstorms, and the wind will be its regular southwest, 20 kilometers up to 40 an hour, becoming late this evening, and low of 16. Cloudy becoming mix of sun and cloud near noon for Thursday, high of 24, humidex 30, so nice and hot. So with that, let's look at our long term. Mainly cloudy tomorrow. The sunny forecast in store for Friday and Saturday, thankfully. And then Sunday's calling for a 60% chance of showers. So far, Friday, Saturday, looking pretty darn nice. If we look at our satellite currently, you can see all of the cloud formations over Greater Sudbury here. And then it's going to be here for the next couple days. We'll be in and out of showers and thunderstorms. So that's your weather for today. So as you could see earlier in the studio, we have in the hot seat, we have Dave today. So thankfully you've taken you're a little out of the screen, Dave. I don't know if you can see over here.
Okay.
I don't know if you can see that far. There you go. Yeah, it's opposite, right? So, yeah, so there we go. Yeah, perfect. I might have even moved your camera, unfortunately, before, but there you are. So, Dave, you've been on the show before, and you were really excited when I asked you last night to come on. You said, "Oh, really? Can I please come on?" Remember?
Yeah.
Remember when you said that?
Yes, I've been praying for this opportunity.
I know, and it's here. Your chance to be on the show once again is here. And I'd like to thank and welcome everyone who's been with us and who is with us each and every day. Thanks for being with us on the show. Thanks for commenting. Your comments actually make this show what it is supposed to be, and it's a community conversation. Facebook isn't liking us lately. They've shadow banned us and stopped anyone from liking or following us for the last several days. And so it must have been a comment or something I made they didn't quite agree with, which does happen, right? Because I think I talked about socialism yesterday and how that is actually a detrimental way of governing and why it is. And so they actually politically stand on that way of that ideology. That's what they believe in. And so I guess they didn't like the fact that I didn't agree with that, and so they are able to use socialism, like I was saying yesterday, to punish you without you even realizing it. Socialism is kind of like having your mom ground you without you knowing you're grounded. So you just wake up in the morning and your door's locked, and you don't know why it's locked, and she never even tells you it's because you're grounded. But it is because she believes you said something you shouldn't have or did something you shouldn't have. She's going to ground you, but she's not going to tell you. And you don't know how long you're grounded for. You don't know how long. You don't know when you're going to get your next meal. So that's kind of like, so it's like Facebook. They never said anything to me. So we just noticed we were going from 11, 12 likes and follows a day to 0. And even likes were being taken away and follows. So we're almost up to the 4,000 mark. And we went to 3,999. And I wanted to come on the show and say, hey, we got our first goal of 4,000 likes, and wasn't able to do that. Actually, we're down to 3,998 now. It's actually went to 97, but now it went up 1 to 3,998. So at some point, maybe Mom will unlock the door and let me come out, and probably won't tell me why I was locked up in the door in the first place, locked behind the door in my bedroom. But yeah, at least maybe she'll open it if we're lucky enough. So, but thank you, Facebook monitors, for being here and watching the show. Hopefully, it's entertaining enough. Not being from Sudbury, just hear Sudbury kind of topics and things like that. And hopefully, Dave is entertaining enough for you to make it worth your while. So we have some stories we've been covering. Have you had a chance to look at some of those, Dave, at all?
Yes, I had a chance to review a few, yes.
That's what I like, because when you've reviewed the stories, then that means we have a way better conversation, because we are way more prepared to talk about what's going on in Sudbury. But the one main thing I hope we're going to get to today is the press conference that was held in Sudbury yesterday. It has me scratching my head just a little bit. And so now, for some reason, none of the pictures from some of our stories are even coming through here. Not sure what's going on, but yeah. Thanks again, though, Dave, for being here. I'm just going to share my screen and show you some of the weird things that are going on. Maybe we'll just show the Facebook weirdness that happens without mom telling you that you're being punished or something. So anyways, we have the stories we shared from CBC. And they're not all the way coming in, but anyways, this is about the hospital. So the headline is Northern Ontario ERs and hospitals are grappling with staffing shortages. We talked a little bit about that before on the show. I just shared that this morning. And then also to go along with that, money to keep Sudbury's kids. Oh no, I shared two stories. Okay, here we go. Problems continue with Health Sciences North. I'll just go back to that page. I have to share it back here with a different view. Okay, now we'll start this all. Oh, now we got the picture. Okay, so yeah, problems with new Health Sciences North payroll system, says QP. Issues with the new payroll system at Health Sciences North in Sudbury are ongoing, despite assurances they've been resolved, says Canadian Union of Public Employees, QP. So that was similar to what happened with the CRA a few years ago, as you might remember, or not. Do you remember the CRA having a similar problem? They had a payroll system called Phoenix. It cost them about $1 billion to make the payroll system and to run it. And eventually what ended up happening was employees weren't being paid. Some were being paid double.
Yeah, I heard about the extra. Yeah. They got the paybacks and small amounts or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't follow it tons, but yeah, just surprising, that kind of money's being spent and big problems like that.
No, for sure. So the and it is to this day. I don't even know if everyone's been compensated, and the people that were paid double have to hold on to the money until everything's resolved and then pay the government back. And so that's just weird. And you would think, someone like a hospital would be able to have a payroll system that just can pay your employees. But I think I think if there's nefarious things going on within the payroll system itself, maybe that causes glitches too. I have no idea. But anyways, they have problems. They're continuing their payroll system. They're having problems in the ER. It says Northern Ontario may be on the verge of seeing more hospital emergency room close as staff shortages show no signs of abating. So that's crazy. So we could have, closures in our emergency rooms, in our hospitals, because we have public health care. We shouldn't have any problem with that, right? There's tons of money going into it. We should have more staff, more emergency rooms, more hospitals, And so, yeah, Jerome says it's not a hospital. Yeah. And I know what you're meaning by that, I'm thinking, and that it's a business to some extent, right? And it's the end goal in a hospital should be the care of the patients. And yeah, imagine a business that had to close down. Imagine Subway said, yeah, we don't have any buns today when you went to Subway. Would you go back to Subway the next time
Not like
you were thinking of somewhere to eat?
No.
And why is that?
No, it's just not reliable. So go somewhere where it's whatever, operating better and more reliable.
Yeah. And again, just so you know, Dave, when speaking for Facebook Live, your voice has to go all the way to that mic over there. So you're perfectly loud in that mic for the radio, but this mic, if you can imagine it having to pick you up. So I know it's a kind of a technical thing, but it hears me no problem. I'm right here and I got a loud voice as it is, right? So, but yeah, no, it's you wouldn't go back to Subway if they didn't have buns when you went in one time. So you go into a hospital with emergency. No, sorry, we don't have an emergency room anymore. Like, I don't know. That's kind of weird. So
I think it's just the way systems are ran, and there's certain, like you said, goals and motivations, and how they decide to run things.
And how are hospitals paid for? Like, how are our hospitals paid for?
Really well.
And who pays for the OHIP system?
Citizens.
So the taxpayers, right, citizens,
Yeah.
pay for OHIP? So does that mean when they close the emergency rooms, you're going to get a rebate on your taxes?
Definitely not.
Because it's no longer being, like, that service is no longer being offered?
No. I don't think
okay.
so.
How come?
Well, I think maybe the future, whatever expenses will go down a bit, but so the taxes in the future might be less, but
Mm-hmm.
we don't seem to be doing that in any kind of downsizing scenarios. We're not seeing any kind of reduction in taxes from what I understand. There's always ways of spending that money. Again, it's like the fundamental, like I said, this way that they operate. I don't think there's. It's not a virtue-based, type of system. It's like you said, it's a bit of a socialistic, socialism system, and just there's no accountability. It seems like.
Yeah, so it is the universal health care is the model that we have in Canada, and now we're closing our emergency rooms in our hospitals. That you would think that would be like the front line. That would be at least the thing you would keep open as an emergency room, because you can actually function a hospital just with the emergency department alone. Like, because they have all the rooms in the back, you can go back there and the doctors can treat you. You can even have surgeries. Like, you can actually run a whole hospital just around the emergency setup alone. But imagine taking the emergency away and closing the emergency room, and you have an emergency. It's It's just not. Look, we're paying for that, but there's, again, like, where is the accountability? Where do we see where our money's going, and why is it being closed? Who's managing that? Where is the chain of command that leads to something like that? But they're saying it's due to staff shortages. Again, it's your problem. You didn't go to school to be a nurse, so we don't have enough nurses, right? So it's not our problem. That's what it sounds like to me. It's due to staff shortages. That's the only reason why they're closing it. Okay, so this is an interesting one too. They had a press conference here in Sudbury yesterday. Money to help keep Sudbury's kids away from gangs and guns. That was the reason for the press conference yesterday.
$2 million.
The city's going to get $2 million from the federal government's Building Safer Communities initiative. Okay, and then that goes right along with this, again, story that's not coming into our feed. But we'll get back to that. Let's see. Oh yeah, there's a lot of them that aren't coming in. So let's just refresh that again. And maybe Facebook will allow us to show the stories, which would be really nice. And we'll do that. Yeah, things are just moving along like a snail. There we go. Yeah, there we go. Here we are. Minister of Public Safety Marco Mendicino releases a proposed pricing model for the assault-style firearms buyback program. If adopted, weapons buyback program may be mandatory.
It will be
mandatory. And Ghislaine says, well, did we see this coming? Kind of thing. So, yeah. And then also comment on the other one as well. She said, I didn't know we had gangs and guns in Sudbury that involved our kids.
Yeah, there definitely is, but it's not.
Yeah.
I think there's a bit of a backdoor sort of tactic here in the sense of reinforcing the desire to pull these guns from society. So
for sure.
Again, depends on your viewpoint of that, but yeah, it's definitely no coincidence that these two things are happening at the same time, I think.
Yep. And then Jerome just piped in about our last thing we were talking about, the shortages. He said they basically created the shortages. And one way they could have was, I know Nick was on the show the other day, and we were talking about the fact that the media doesn't talk about the mandates when they came out, that a lot of businesses and agencies and whatever had if you don't get, the shots or whatever, you can't work here. And that was never mentioned in any of the, you know, the stories from any of the news agencies that said we have staff shortages in our medical system and it's creating a crisis, which were a lot of the headlines. But they never mentioned once. They said, oh, it's because people are taking early retirement, not enough new people are coming in. There's another issue, they said. But they never once said, oh, and that's all of the people that were fired or let go because they didn't follow that policy. Not once. Which leaving the public to believe that's not even an issue. That's not the reason why there's shortages. However, let's say 30% of people didn't follow that and were fired, because I think that's about right, 30%. You would then have a 30% staff shortage. 30% of your staff is gone now.
No, it's true. We're not getting the full story.
No.
Like you said, it's just this biased coverage and sort of, for me, the whole vaccine thing, like no mention of immunity, kind of news, like what to do to boost your immunity, and how important your immunity is to dealing with
for sure
and stuff. So it's just it's kind of strange. It's like this, ignoring certain aspects of the story or the reality. So it's,
So what Dave's saying is basically, for those on YouTube Live or Facebook Live, is that the news really didn't put out enough information on just the fact that get exercise, lose weight, drink a lot of water, take vitamins, do these things for your health, and you're going to be in a better position. So you can tell media was just saying just this one size fits all solution, what we're going through. And if you don't do that, then you're fired, and then now there's a health shortage. But no one's connecting those dots together at all. Not one person. And so, So you can even say bias, and some would even say out and out lying. Yeah, right? Like out and out doing it on purpose. If you're either you're misinformed or you're uninformed, or if you're doing it on purpose, it then becomes lying. So you're just doing it for whatever reason. I don't know the reasons.
And some people think they're doing the right thing. So it's you don't know their intentions.
Well, that's what I mean.
It definitely doesn't.
Some people feel lying is right if you do it for the right reason, right? As long as you do it for the right reason, lying's okay. I think that's the way Facebook kind of looks at things too. Like as long as they can say they're doing something and then don't do something, but it's okay because they have a higher standard. They're trying. They have a reason they're going for. We're doing this against our own standards because we believe that what this person is doing is ultimately wrong. Compared to our ideology is so strong that we believe we can lie, cheat, and steal in the name of our ideology, because our ideology is so benevolent and so wonderful that we can do all these wrong things in order to bring to pass the utopia that we in our minds believe exists. So I don't think you can get to a utopia by lying, cheating, and stealing, but I wonder what kind of utopia that would be. And then, so Miles says, public health stats in Ontario say that 88% have had at least one shot. Yeah, exactly. They don't have stats of hospital employees. I wonder why, Miles. They don't have stats about hospital employees. Don't you think that's odd? Like if it's a transparent thing, they would just have stats, and then they could say, 33% of staff shortages are due to them being, not going along with the protocol. So anyways, just come out and say it. It's not a big deal. It's true. Why not have stats on hospital employees? Why wouldn't you have stats on everything else? Like why? And so Monique says, possibly there's a cover-up kind of a thing, So these are just things we wonder. If the news is the watchdog coming out saying the things they're there for, then you don't have to wonder these things because they're doing it for you. But when you start seeing something that's not kind of adding up, what's going on here, when just something, you taste a food or something and something's not right about it? You ever have that?
Oh, for sure.
Like they say this is made with real butter or something. You're like, there's not real butter in here or whatever. This is whatever they're saying it is, you can tell that it's not what it is. So we all have this as human beings, kind of have a little compass inside. We're able to tell truth from error to some degree. But sometimes we get confused if someone's confusing us and we're not able to then rely on our compass inside because we're like, wait a minute, it's not something that I am, but they're telling me it's this way. So, yeah. So Jerome is even questioning the 88% stat, which again, right? Stats, where do they come from? Who's taking them? What are they basing it on? These are all the questions we're asking. And the questions we should be asking, because that's what journalism actually is. And I think people that maybe watch this show or shows similar to it, they at least feel these questions are being asked.
Yeah.
You know, even the fact we don't have the answers, we're asking the questions at least that each of us have, and that's in some ways refreshing.
For sure, yeah. Like I said, when it's like you said, it just doesn't add up. There's missing parts. You're talking about your household budget, and you leave out food costs, or
Yeah.
it doesn't add up. Like you don't talk about immunity. Like
Yeah.
that blew me away
Yeah.
right from the beginning. And yeah, nothing against people that want to be vaccinated, but it's like
Yeah.
it was always about immunity when I was growing up. Like you're going to make sure your immunity is strong.
You know what I like about what you're saying? Because on the one side they're saying what does the predator attack? Who does it go after? Vulnerable people with what?
Weakness.
What is their wording though? And it goes with what you're saying. Immunocompromised.
Yeah.
So they say on one side, so they're blowing and sucking at the same time. They say immunocompromised people are the ones that it's targeted, but then they don't mention boost your immune at all. Yeah, whatever. It is what it is. Anyways, yeah. So again, these are the things like a normal person who has something inside of that outer layer, and one of these inside here just kind of recognizes and says, and if, for those on radio, I'm pointing to my head and my heart, basically, we are wondering these things, and when we don't get the answers, we just keep asking, right? Yeah, so that's a good idea. So if we got a hold of some of the people that were let go and asked them directly what were some of their reasons, things like that. Again, we'd have to do our own stuff. We'd have to do our own survey and things like that, right? So, and there's nothing wrong with that. Yeah. No more likes and shares. Yeah, exactly, Miles. Again, my door is going to be locked again today, but I'm not going to be told why. I guess I have to assume why, but I'm assuming probably correctly. Anyways, it is what it is. I mean, hey, isn't this just a great conversation? We're not coming to any conclusions. We're just asking some questions. We're just wondering what the heck's going on. Isn't that, and we'd like to get some answers. That would be wonderful. So speaking of, back to our last story we were getting at was this press conference they had in Sudbury. And like Dave said, $2 million is coming to Sudbury. So there's going to be $2 million infused into the city for organizations that want to ask for this money, or maybe it's already earmarked. I'd have to look more into it. For the organizations that are going to help fight gangs and drugs. So I want to help fight gangs and drugs. So I want to use this platform to help fight against the gang epidemic we have in Sudbury and the drug epidemic.
Yeah, it's funny. I just like watching, reading news articles for quite a while now. I just haven't heard much about gangs in Sudbury.
Oh, I guess there must be if they're bringing $2 million to the table to fight it. Violence and criminal gangs are on the rise. Yeah, Sudbury MP Vivian Lapointe said yesterday. And the Federal Building Safer Communities Fund aims to help communities tackle the problem. So yeah, so $2 million to tackle the problem. And I wonder what the $2 million exactly, when you have money, it's one thing, right? I always hear these stories. Oh, this is a problem, and the federal government's going to give $1 billion for it. And then you check in a year later, and the problem's still there. What the heck did the money help do? Anyways, I don't know. 8 years ago, yeah, exactly. So Jerome is saying basically boosting his immune system helped him fight cancer.
Yeah.
And now he's free of that. So that's how important it is. That's a real world kind of thing. That's an example. That's a witness to what you said. By boosting your immune system, that's the effect it could have. But yet no mention of it in any mainstream. No funding. Yeah, why wouldn't the government come out and give $10 billion to boost your immune system?
A bunch of vitamin D and vitamin C and E and A.
That makes you wonder. So you wonder why. Well, why? What is the reason for that? I think it's pretty common knowledge. You take your vitamins, it makes you healthier. I don't know.
That's like one of the articles. I don't know if we'll touch on it today, but this blood monitoring or blood reading device and system that's coming out. That's to me an amazing thing that could help a lot of people track their their mineral levels, their vitamin levels, which is very important to know what to put in your body really to get the best health you can.
Yeah, I think we should tackle that right now because there's that Theranos or something, the lady that started that said she said that she could do this thing that this Sudbury company is now looking at doing, but she said she can do it on a grander scale. You get something like a tower for a computer, and you put your blood in there, and it's able to do any blood test that any lab could do for anything, which is you need all kinds of things in that computer to be able to do that. This one isn't making that claim that they can do any test for anything, but they are focusing in on specific things, at least, that are reasonable and realistic that they can actually do.
Yeah, I really believe in that. So live blood analysis
is
something I've done a few times in my life, and it's definitely helped to sort of understand what's going on in your body. And so I think this is somewhat in line with that, and would be a good tool, especially if it's inexpensive and quick whatever results.
Yeah.
Many people I think worry their blood's tests, and it's like days, or they have to wait quite a while to find out, so they're worrying and not sure where things are at. So this could really minimize that stress.
Yeah, exactly. Well, this Sudbury company, I mean, I was at Cambrian when they were launching, and I wasn't able to say anything. I was helping out with some of the, I was helping out the person who was doing the multimedia to get the funding, like making the videos so they can go out and get funding and basically telling the story through video. So this basically, it's a Sudbury firm. They think big with its blood lab and a smartphone tech. So basically, you download an app and then you're able to work with your phone. So whether for those with chronic health conditions or those who just are curious, Verve Technologies home blood testing device does more than check blood sugar. It aims at high quality blood chemistry. It aims to be a high quality blood chemistry analyzer to track everything from cholesterol to hormone levels. Wow, you know what? That in and of itself is really cool. Because I know there's different people that struggle with their hormone levels at different times, and they're wondering, am I emotional, or am I like this because of that? Yeah. And they're able to then check their blood right away and see if that's the case or not.
Knowledge is power, yeah.
Yeah. And it also checks their blood sugar levels too. So it can do that. So you don't need your regular whatever you're using currently. If you're diabetic or you're on the verge of diabetes, you can then use this app to kind of monitor that. And another thing that's huge is cholesterol.
Yeah, I think, and vitamins too. It said something there about vitamin D and things like that. So yeah.
So it goes right in line with what we were talking about.
Yeah.
Like being in charge of your own health kind of thing. Right? Like you can do your own little sample of blood and go, oh, wait a minute, I might need more of this or less of that.
Yeah, exactly. That's
You know?
the thing. I think there's supplements and a lot of people take, like money's not easy to come by
No.
these days. So you're taking stuff that you may not need, or you're eating things that you may, whatever, want to avoid because
Yeah.
you find out, it's affecting certain levels. So yeah, I think this is a great, great good news story, which I love the good news story.
Do you like the good news stories, Dave?
Yeah.
I like the good news stories too.
Yes.
Yeah, no, it's good, and I think it's so cool that it's a Sudbury company,
right.
Verve Technologies.
Where could we buy shares?
Well, you can. You
Yeah,
go to their website and buy shares. I think it's great. I think and that can be expanded on. I think that's just you can just start with that and then just expand on that technology.
Yeah, well, that's it. Obviously there's going to be competitors coming out probably.
Yeah.
And so.
Yeah, Dave's going to come out with his version later. Call it Dave's Blood Sample Tester app.
Yeah. I'll just
Creative name, eh?
just eat kale.
Miles says you should have to upgrade your phone to have more sensory tech on it. That is correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all good for the phone companies, right? Because then they know you need more power and more of this, more of that, more memory, more. So they're like, you gotta get the new latest greatest phone. So the phone companies love that, and that's a really good segue, Miles. Thank you for that, because that's exactly our next story we're talking about. Did you or did you not know that Canadians pay the most and the highest wireless prices globally? They pay amongst the highest wireless prices globally. Did you know that, Dave?
I thought I heard that in the past, but I haven't really heard it recently. So yeah, it's I guess a reminder, reconfirmation of something that it's kind of. I guess someone has to pay the most.
Yeah, well, yeah, why not us? We pay the most for everything else. We pay the most for healthcare, and all of our emergency rooms are shutting down, and they can't pay their employees because there's payroll issues, and their staff aren't showing up. There's staff shortages. There's CEOs of bankrupt universities running them. Oh my goodness, it's just crazy. All right, did I say that out loud? I'm sorry. Anthony Lasavera, founder of Global Live Capital, speaks with the Financial Post's reporter about the need for Canada's wireless industry to be globally competitive and what that means for the Rogers Communications and Shaw Communications deal. If you did not know, Rogers is looking at basically purchasing Shaw. And Shaw is a huge company, and that would mean Rogers would then basically be in the monopoly kind of idea.
Correct.
To own most of Canada. Right now, Bell and Rogers are kind of, head to head, but this would put Rogers over the top if they were to get Shaw. And and so the CRTC and other regulatory bodies are looking at this saying, not a good idea. But I'm saying, why not? We're just doing the same thing anyways. It's like, we need more. We don't need less, actually. We need more competitors in this market. The only problem is we only have 30 plus million people compared to the 300 plus million people in the States, right? The market is a little small for any business initiatives in Canada. Average full phone plans in the States, $20 per month. Yeah, you're right, Miles. Exactly right. That's how we compare to the States. And I would also say the medical things we pay for medical is probably same. Like we pay about the same percentage more for gas than the States. We pay $10,000 average more for a car, even after you do the difference in exchange and the different rates that the US dollar is compared to ours. We pay $10,000 average more on a car. And our medical, I would say, because it's not transparent, because you don't have transparency in a socialized world, because everything's behind the curtain. You're supposed to just trust that it's for your benefit, trust it's going to be managed properly, trust it's going to be going towards what it needs to be going towards. And so we don't see the costs. Like we don't see when we go give blood at the blood bank. We don't see what they're selling our blood for. Try researching that too. See what you get. Like, because they do sell it to us as the taxpayer to use in the hospital, because it is run like a business, but it's just under the socialist kind of system. Everything's behind closed doors. You get the health card. How much is it charging every time your doctor swipes that? Do you know? Do you know when you go to Emerge and they swipe your health card, how much is being charged to you as a taxpayer? No, you don't. How come? It's all free. You have free health care. It's free, right? Why? Hey, just keep swiping that old card. Anyways, so there is a cost. There are expenses, but we don't see them. So that's actually one of the downfalls to that system. And then it can be mismanaged. And do you think a university could be mismanaged or a hospital could be mismanaged? Do you think that's possible? And now when you don't even know how much money's coming in or going out or how much, is being made, or none of that is transparent, good luck getting accountability with no transparency.
Well, that's it, and I think that's where there's accountability, there's productivity. When you don't, you're voting whatever every 4 years, a person doesn't do what they said they were going to do, and then you just vote someone else in, and the last person isn't held accountable other than losing their job. But that's
yeah, people lose their jobs.
Doesn't change what all they did to affect things in a negative way.
No, and in the case of the university, they basically just said they'll retire.
Yeah.
They didn't even say it's our fault or we're going to do this because, we're just going to, this is a punishment. I'm going to take the fall on this. No one said anything like that. Oh, very much so. Top heavy. There's the manager, and then the assistant manager, then the assistant manager to the manager, and then you hire one person to do all the work. And there's like 3 managers. And then we do have that problem in these organizations. There's no doubt about it. And then the people at the bottom get, they don't really want to do the work because they're like, why everyone else is not doing anything and I got to do everything. So you start feeling overworked, underpaid, underappreciated, and now the services go down because of that. The quality goes down because nobody is liking their job, because no one feels part of a team, because one person is doing all the work, everyone else is managing them. It just doesn't. It's not a good system.
Well, that's it. I think it's the moral underpinning is eroding. I think that's the biggest problem.
Yeah.
They talk about helping youth from gangs and drugs, and I think teaching these these morals and exemplifying like showing them. They see the shenanigans that are going on around them.
Yeah.
They can tell some of this, like what we talked about. This avoidance of certain realities, and so they just go along and do the same thing, lie, cheat, steal their way to happiness, but it doesn't work. It doesn't. We see things eroding, things not going in a positive direction.
You make a good point. They're seeing society cheat, lie, steal, and they're the people in power doing this, and they're thinking, oh, okay, well, you can do that, then I should be able to do that too. Well, no, you're not allowed to do that. Only we can do that. Yeah. So it really doesn't make any sense. And so now you have problems with youth going around breaking laws and doing things they shouldn't, because that's what they're seeing in their society. Just because they don't have a suit on doesn't mean it's any different, right? So Jerome says HSN defined. Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah. So I think any big institution that's that has that ideology that we have here isn't going to be transparent, and they're not accountable to anybody. It's top heavy. It's going to be bloated financially. It's always going to lose money. It's always going to need more money to feed the beast, and it's never going to be prosperous and effective and efficient. It just won't, because it's based on something that's flawed. It's flawed to begin with. You can't have a good result from a flawed foundation. It just doesn't work. So This is a letter into the Sudbury Star, talking about flawed. Sudbury letter, heads must roll for KED debacle. So I guess someone else feels similar to what we feel, just in general. Too little and way too late. All of a sudden, Mayor Brian Bigger and his like-minded acolytes are having an apocalyptic moment. Lo and behold, the big-time spenders have seen the light, and the spendthrifts living high off the taxpayers of Sudbury are finally cowered by the fiscal realities of the day, a reality foreseen and acknowledged by ratepayers a long time ago. There you go. I like the sound of that. This person's very eloquent and able to see, I guess, the big picture.
Yeah, I like some of the wording in this article, actually. Repentant.
Oh, really? Oh, my goodness. Seemingly abashed and repentant by the revelations of this newfound financial disaster about to happen, the mayor and his 6 disciples have second thoughts about Kingsway Entertainment District, a change of heart, no less.
6 disciples, I love that.
One has to laugh or else one would cry at the hypocrisy of it all. Taxpayers have already spent millions of dollars on this fantasy project of councils, and all to naught. Yeah, a lot of millions have been spent so far on that. It is 100% true.
Yeah, I don't know about fantasy project, but yeah, just not well thought out. I think not, obviously it wasn't successful because of opposition and lack of, sort of foresight, I think. But yeah, it's something that, I think, we wanted
Definitely
to try to have, a new arena. So.
Yeah, and that's the thing. We didn't really plan that whole thing 100%. Like, the city was basically voting for the Kingsway Entertainment District as a punishment for council not making parking available downtown. Because the idea was, is it going to go downtown or is it going to go on the Kingsway? And that was the original vote. And citizens were so upset with council and downtown, and you park downtown anytime you get a ticket, you get booted. It's not a pleasant experience. And then now they want to put the arena downtown and they don't have any plans for parking or anything. No, that's enough. And they voted for it going on the Kingsway. And I think from then on, things were just kind of haphazardly done. And then, okay, we'll put a casino there. They're going to pay, whatever. It was just kind of, things were just added and they weren't really planned and it was all reactive. And again, it wasn't a good plan from the beginning. There wasn't really a lot of thought put into it.
Well, I think you want to get a consensus. You really want to put. I think something like this, you want the citizens to really vote on that specifically. Almost.
Yeah.
And present all the facts. Have it really well thought out. I don't think that happened. I didn't follow it.
Mm-hmm.
Close enough, really.
So the person goes on, amazing what a municipal election on the horizon and the likelihood of losing one's elected office will do to bring some people to their senses. Those elected officials presently on council and the senior bureaucrats who led them in this mismanagement of municipal financial affairs should pay the price. On October 24th, turf out the incumbent Mayor Brian Bigger and the Council Lord Robert Kerwin, Al Sizer, Bill Leduc, Jocelyn Landry Altman, Renee Lapierre, and Deb McIntosh all have to go. And the role of their senior bureaucracy in this debacle must be reviewed. It's by Ray Vincent. Had that letter into the Sudbury Star. So again, that's somebody's point of view. Does that mean that it's everyone's point of view? And does it mean that it's right? No, it's a point of view. It's a citizen of the city and the feelings they have for what they just went through in this past 3 years. And Miles says, you did hear that the Minnow Lake Restoration Group appealed the KED judge's decision in court. Confusion continues? Yes, that's true. So the Minnow Lake organization were told they didn't have anything any reason,
Yeah, it was like
unfounded.
frivolous or something.
Yeah, but I think they did have
Well,
a
of
reason. If they're
course,
going to
yeah.
build a big, giant building that's going to bring 5,000 people into a parking lot, on a regular basis with a casino there, a lot of traffic, there are things they could, obviously, it wasn't unfounded. So the reason why they threw it out, whether I agree with their views or not, the reason why it was thrown out isn't right. It was founded. Okay. And on that note, Dave, do you want the last word or not?
No, thank
You don't want the last word. Well, I hope everyone was able to hear us, because the microphone from our iPad is what's picking up the live. At least we're on CKLU properly. And when we play our music extras, you may or may not hear certain things today, but we appreciate you. We appreciate you being here, commenting, being a part of the show. You are what makes the show just even what it is now, and we hope that it will grow. We hope there'll be more people here having this community conversation each and every morning between 7:30 and 8:30. Thanks for joining us. Stay tuned now for Earshot Daily on CKLU. And again, on behalf of Dave, because he doesn't want the last word, he says goodbye. I say, see
you.
it.
Best day ever.
Best day ever. See you tomorrow. Thanks for joining us. Ciao.